I'm not even going to give you a countdown.
What you drinking
I'm just going to
there?
tell you
Looks
that we are live.
You want a sip?
We're live?
We're live.
Sweet. What's up, guys? Any of you in here yet? We will
I see
wait to
Tyler.
see some messages. We see Tyler already, but we know he's like 20 feet away from us, so.
I don't speak whatever that is there.
You're going to the Dominican in less than 2 weeks. Yes, you do.
I just need to say more, and then they know.
Jason.
Another
hello.
one.
Another one.
If you guys didn't know, today we're talking about these three people. So if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments. We'll try to answer as many as we see. Ask them anything. Else we're just going to get
We're
started.
going to have a redneck competition between Bo and I to see who has done the most redneck thing.
Ashley's up there too, probably.
I was trying to think if we should start with Tim because he has so many cars or end with him to see if they get cut off or not.
I don't know. Bo might have him beat.
I don't have that many cars.
You had a car that none of us knew about.
A couple, yeah.
Yeah, like where did that thing come from?
Why have you been hiding it this whole time?
We just don't
why?
really know about Bo's past, honestly.
So
It's a mystery.
I mean, like, we can get right into it.
I guess it's kind of funny because he's so young, you wouldn't expect it.
Yeah. The car that they're referring to is a very sweet
Drew, did you see?
Yeah.
1988 Grand Am.
And you hear that and you're like, this thing's going to be hideous. And then this dude pulls up a picture.
The wheels were really hideous, but in my defense, I was broke and never had time to replace them. That's just what was on the car. So basically, me and a buddy were driving through. We were going to Lowell to see a movie, and there was a detour on a bridge, so we had to go like through these back streets around.
Was it a romantic movie?
I don't remember even what the movie was, but we're cruising around these back streets, and on this like back street I would never even go down, there's this car, and it's just, I see it and I'm like, man, what is that? You know, like just had this presence, and we pull up and it's this 88 Grand Am, and it was a 5-speed with a quad 4. So it was the quad 4 engine, which was really good back in the day for 4-cylinder. You know, it was kind of ahead of its time. And it had an F20, I believe it was an F23 in it. So the dude had $750 on it. And the windows were tinted. I couldn't see in it, but I'm like, I didn't know anything about it. There's a number. I called the number. He's like, oh yeah, I'll be right over there in a few minutes. Opens it up. Looking around, and I realize this thing is rough. Like, so what it was an old Pioneer base competition car. So the back seat, there was no back seat. It was a wall behind the two front seats.
That was all speakers or whatever.
There was 6 15-inch subs. But there was no subs. Somebody had took all the audio out of it, and just the big sub box was in there. Woo. Big sub box was in there, and it was a little molested, you know. So I'm like, oh, whatever. We go out for a drive, and he's just banging gears in it. I'm like, yeah, I'll take it. $700.
What?
Well, I just wanted a car, and it was cheap. I mean, I was thinking about it. Like, we used to be able to just go out and buy a car for less than $1,000 and have fun with it. And it was summertime. I was 16, like, and for some reason it just appealed to me. It might have been the 3rd-gen Camaro spoiler on it. It might have been the shaved door handles. It might have been, you know, I don't know what it was, but it was just, it was different than anything I'd ever seen.
Was this wasn't your first car though, right? This was a second car to you?
Yeah.
Like you owned a car and you just bought this as a toy?
Yeah, that's kind of basically when I knew. I was like, why, you know, you're just buying cars for no reason, just to play with them. That's kind of when it started. But I guess I had my first car, I wanted a Grand Prix. I really wanted a Grand Prix. I was 16 in high school. Like, Grand Prix were the thing.
Did you have one buddy with a Grand Prix that you were so jealous of?
Sarah's older sister had a Grand Prix.
Man, Grand Prix were sweet cars when they came out.
Yeah. I mean, if you had a Grand Prix in the parking lot of high school, you were the king. But
they came out like the year I graduated.
Yeah.
They were old when I was in high school.
This is like 2012. You know.
Oh my gosh.
So they were getting older and affordable. But my dad's like, nope, here's your Geo tracker. And I'm like, thanks. So
those are cool too.
it was a lot of fun, and it was a 5-speed as well. So I learned how to drive manual right away. And I'm like, well, I got this Geo tracker, and it's not cool at all. So I'm like, I gotta make it cool. So I sold my moped, bought some wheels and tires for it, straight piped it with a glass pack.
Oh no.
Yeah, put some speakers in it, a nice radio, and back in the day before LEDs were a thing, I think I've told the story before. We used to take the 194 bulbs out of the interior and paint them red, and then put them back in. And you could drive around with your lights, interior lights on, and they'd be red. And, you know, you just had the subs bump in. So I guess I basically
when I was in school, we kind of did a similar thing. They had like these silicone booty condom things for your 194s.
okay.
You could get
Just
them in
slip
like
it over
blue, green, red. Yeah, you just buy them, slide them over there, and stick them back in.
See, I had a good old Geo tracker in '98 or an '88 Grand Am. Both just obnoxious piles of white junk.
What did you sell both those cars for?
I sold the Grand Am for $750. I made $50 on it, and the tracker actually, I think it was like $2,900 or something. I got it pretty good. It only had like 100,000 miles on it, but it was rusty.
It's. I was gonna say it's worth like twice that now.
Yeah, if I still had it now, it would be
Yeah.
worth a lot of money.
Joey would probably give you 5 for it.
It was cool. I mean, I guess I got a lot of stories I probably shouldn't tell on this podcast with that tracker, but top removed and like it was like a little Jeep, you know. It was fun, I guess. But
Eric Lewis, what's up? Good to see ya. Am I the only one hearing that noise?
No, it's
Grinding.
true.
yeah.
Welders
Oh.
downstairs grinding.
Yeah, I've had some. I remember, kind of similar to your Grand Am story. I'm driving down Division and I see this used car lot, and I see this car, and I'm like, "What the heck is this car? This
Yeah.
thing is like, this is like a DeLorean looking car, right?" And I pull in, and it's a Mitsubishi Starion, and I fell in love with it and bought it. That car was so ahead of its day. Like, it was a 1987 Mitsubishi Starion. It had like rain sensing wipers, like all the radio buttons, all the climate control buttons were on the steering wheel. This car was like way ahead of its day. 2.6 turbo rear drive, like staggered wheels from the factory. Like, sweet. I still kind of want to buy another one of those. But yeah, I fell in love with that thing.
Yeah.
And then that started the whole like 4-cylinder turbos are actually pretty quick. You know, I was like a big V8 guy. You know, I didn't do anything with the Mitsu because I didn't know anything about modifying boosted 4-cylinders then. It was just a car I had when I was in high school, because I always definitely had the coolest car in the school, like always. I had an 84 Grand Prix,
Tim,
T-tops.
How many people went to your school?
You're still the same way. You still got the
700?
coolest car
It was
here.
a small
Yeah.
small school.
Yeah.
Wayland, Michigan, so that's pretty redneck. And my vehicles were never trucks. I never had trucks then. They're always like lowered sporty cars.
No shotgun in the back window?
No.
Yeah,
But while I was in high school, they said you couldn't anymore.
Yeah. So it
Like
was
during my high
halfway?
school years, they're like, okay, no more. Nobody can have shotguns in their back windows during school.
I
Only
also,
during school, though. That was the rule.
Like, yeah, you on school premises, you know, yeah, but
I also made it all the way through high school without a truck as well in a small
Yeah.
town like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's funny. That's probably why we get along so well. But always had sporty cars. I think they were all 2-doors all through high school.
Huh.
And and then my Eclipse, the car the green car on our little icon for today. I was working with a guy that had a 91 Talon all-wheel drive TSI. And I'm just talking to him because we're both car guys. I'm a V8 guy, you know, at the time. And he was like, "This thing runs 13s." And I was like, "No way. You're lying. No way. No way." And he was like, "Come with me. I'll give you a ride on lunch." So we go to lunch and get on an entrance ramp, and he just opens this thing up. And I think at that time my Grand Prix or whatever car I had ran like, I don't know, like low 15s or something. It was terrible. But he opens it up on the entrance ramp, and I'm like, "Holy crap, this thing is amazing." So I went and bought one, and then that's when I got my 92 Eclipse. And that car never ran any ET, you know. I think I think one time I had no second gear and I took it to the track and ran a 13.0 at like 116.
That's fast.
I think, going from first to third gear with like a big turbo, just because all my friends are going. So I'm like, heck with it. I'm
Still
just
wanted
gonna
to
go. But yeah, it was a good time. I love that car.
Is that your favorite car you've owned as far as the old ones?
Yeah, or the Starion. The Starion is like the car that I sold that I'm like, darn it, why did I sell that car?
But you
Like,
never modified that one? You
No.
just drove it? And
I would love to have that car back because I've actually seen a couple after, and they were not as loaded as mine was.
oh, really?
Like mine had no, like, I don't think any less than 10 steering wheel buttons.
That's nuts.
It had like I said, it had like full radio control, climate control, and maybe cruise because it's import, so it probably had the cruise on the steering wheel. And like if you add up those buttons, that's a lot of buttons.
Yeah. I didn't know
Especially
they had
back in
rain
87.
sensing wipers.
Yeah.
I thought the 3000 GT was Mitsubishi's like ahead of the time car, but I mean that was
Yeah,
90s,
that's
but
early 90s.
active aero and
Yep.
dampened
I still love those
exhaust
cars.
and
Yep. That's a neat car. Yeah, Noah here has one.
I
and
know.
it's-
Every time he brings it in, I'm like,
It's cool. I love the wheels he's got on it. That's a good looking car.
Yeah.
yeah, I
It does
agree.
have a good street presence.
yeah. He's been battling issues with that thing for 5-6 years or something.
Yeah, it's
Little quirks, I think.
Yeah,
I
it's
think
all
little-
pretty
little
small
stuff.
stuff.
like if he was to go at it now, I mean, he's learned so much since he started here.
Yeah.
I mean, he would probably figure it out in a day.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I don't know. So
Yeah.
next,
Yeah, Ashley, how did you get into cars?
Oh, geez.
16 years old. What was your first car?
A 98 Grand Am.
that's cool.
Yeah.
That's a grand
I'm
Am's
in.
here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Grand Ams are cool.
No, I loved that car actually. It was a really good car. I ended up blowing it up because I thought I was a street racer and I wasn't. All of my friends, that's all they ever did, you know. So there was in Chicago, if you know anything about Chicago and the street racing, where you would meet up was Archer Avenue, and then you drive over to either like the stockyards or to Doty Road, and that's where everyone would street race. So in the meantime, you would literally just light to light, just take off, traction control off, blow the tires off as far as you could, and I was like, yeah, I'm a street racer, you know? Definitely was not. But yeah, I had that car and I loved it. After that, I actually had a 2-door Explorer. That thing was fun. It got me around a lot of places. But then after that, I bought my G6. And then again, back into the Pontiac world where I was like, this car's great. Solid black. My windows were as tinted as probably your Grand Am was. You couldn't see a single thing. That thing ended up getting totaled. But I come from a family of a lot of cousins, my brother, Mustangs. That's all they had. Anytime you walked into anybody's garage, it was just lined up with Mustangs. Mustangs, dirt bikes, 4-wheelers. So kind of where it stemmed from. I've never really been into anything else more. I've always wanted to be in some sort of racing. Like I love to race ever since I was a kid. I was a kid on the bike. Like, hey, who wants to race me? Who wants to drag race me? Anything that had wheels or moved, I wanted to race. That was it.
Yeah.
Just all the time.
That's a good point. I think a lot of just the gearhead that that made me into a gearhead would be just like being around tractors when I was younger, growing up on a farm, just being around farm equipment or, you know, anything with an engine and tires. Just I loved. I loved just being on it or around it or, you know, anything to do with engines in general. And then when I realized that you know you can have the same love and it gets you places, you know.
Yeah, when people are like, oh, it's just a car. And I'm like, people spend a lot of time in cars. Why wouldn't you appreciate and love the car that you're driving?
Yeah, my dad was always really good at just giving me you know, a quad or a dirt bike or something to learn and just be around and on. So
Yeah,
yeah.
like there's such a difference. Like when you go from having a vehicle that just gets you back and forth to work, you just get in it, you drive it, and then all of a sudden you get a car that you like. Like first off, like I guess I'm really bad at this, but it took me a lot of years to figure out the kind of vehicle I actually enjoy to drive.
I think
And I
we'd
like-
all argue you're still figuring.
Yeah, like I still am.
didn't,
Really.
I didn't know if I believed that statement or not because
I
we just had this conversation yesterday.
Yeah, like I have a a big old F-150 dune truck, and honestly, I hate driving it any time except when I'm
the
out
dunes.
in the dunes.
Yeah.
But then I get my little Sonic, and I love driving that car. I love driving little zippy sporty vehicles.
Yeah.
It's like I had my M6 and it's this big 4-door, super fast car. And I loved it for that, but it wasn't really what I liked. Like I like little small zippy sporty cars. Like you just have to figure out what that is to where it's like when the wife is like, "Hey, I'm out of brown sugar." You're like, "I'll go get you brown sugar."
Absolutely.
You got to have that vehicle.
Yeah.
And if you're jumping in a Corsica, you probably don't have that feeling.
Yeah.
Wow. What an interesting choice.
It's super
Yeah.
important. I mean, I spend 2 hours a day in a car.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You do.
Yeah.
You spend a lot.
Like-
I do too. I travel to Chicago and back all the time.
I
That's
think
why
most
buying,
people, it's third. Number 1 is probably
Well,
work.
yeah.
2 is home.
Yeah.
And 3 is probably in a car.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, you
yeah, you
gotta.
had a Chicago commute too, didn't you?
Yeah, I still do it all the time. And buying that ATS was a lifesaver. Like as much as I love the Sonic too, but like like Tim says, that's a fun zip around town car. Like to drive to Chicago and back, it's not really.
Yeah, that ATS eats up
More
miles on
more
the
of a
highway, I bet.
cruiser.
Oh, it's so nice. So
It probably
nice.
gets really good gas mileage too.
Yeah, it does.
That's my gripe with my Sonic. The thing gets crap gas mileage for
Yep.
what it is.
Oh,
Like,
absolutely. If I took the Sonic to Chicago, I'd have to fill up on the way there, and about halfway back on my way back, I'd have to fill up again because I'd be completely empty, like
Yeah.
dead empty.
During in this season being 10 to 25 degrees, I'm only getting like 24 or 25 miles a gallon. With me being pretty nice to the car.
On E.
But
Blend?
yeah, like 22 on E and I think about 25 on gas.
That's not really much of a difference.
Right now I'm filling up with the other fuel every half tank. So it stays around a 50-50. It's it bounces around a little bit, but just to get a little more miles per tank when it's like 10 degrees outside.
Yeah. Nobody likes
Yeah.
pumping gas in
No,
5-degree weather.
And like when
No.
you're pumping gas, it's either on the way to work when it's the coldest, or when you're on your way home from work,
it's
which is
still
the coldest.
Yep.
So it's it's like like
I did that the other morning. I waited till the next morning, and it just so happened to be that morning that was really warm that we just had. And I was like, oh, this is
Yeah.
great. And then we went home,
Yep.
and I'm like, oh, full tank, and it is freezing outside. I'm so
woke
glad I
woke up
decided
it
to do
was
that.
woke up it was 37,
Yeah.
and then that night it was like 25 or
Probably
less.
less than that.
Yeah,
I think it was like
that's-
12 on my way home.
Oh
like
yeah,
9.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh. Do
Ouch.
you guys in the chat still have places where people pump your gas? We've never had it here, have we? I don't think so.
I don't know about ever,
Oh,
but
no.
definitely when I was driving in Chicago, we had places that did it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
We had one right on our corner of Byron Center and 28th Street right here.
They did?
But then they went out of business.
Oh.
That was like the only
Before
full service
Speedway was there?
station. No, on the other side.
Oh.
On our side.
Oh,
That was a full service station.
no way.
I pulled in there before and got up to the pump and saw it was like, I don't know, like a dollar more a gallon or like
Oh.
60 or 70 cents more a gallon. And then I would notice that it said full service and I was like, "Oh, I'm going to take off now."
Yeah. In the wintertime, I would definitely pay more to have somebody pump
I
my
would,
gas.
yeah.
Yeah.
I always pull up and like just sit in my car for a second. I'm like, "Oh, I gotta
do I
build up
really
the courage
want
to
to?"
open the door.
How much further do I have? How many miles do I have?
Yep.
It seems like that would be a good business move right now actually.
If anyone wants to do it though, that's a pretty terrible job.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, nobody wants to work anymore, so let's get real here. Like, they are definitely not showing up to work tomorrow.
Nope.
my kid's just starting to drive, so anytime he's with, I'm like, hey, go pump the gas. You need to learn how to do this.
So next question, Bo, I'll just have you start again. What car did you have when you learned about ZZP, and how did it end with you working here?
That's a lot, but
It is a lot.
Yeah.
I knew
I
about.
don't know if we have time for this.
So I knew about ZZP before I had a ZZP car. I used to just sit on the website and build a cart. Just used to build a cart.
Before you had a Grand Prix or anything?
Oh yeah, literally when I had my Grand Prix, I already had everything planned out. Like I just needed the car,
So you knew you were owning a Grand Prix at some point in your life.
No doubt about it. So basically, after my dad didn't buy me one, I'm like, all right, I got a job. Like I'm just screw this. I'm buying my own. So I did. Went out and bought one, and 2 weeks later, chipped a piston in it, like every Grand Prix owner does, and it ended up being the intercooler pump plug was faulty and no intercooler pump.
But it had the
Small
intercooler
pulley.
on it still?
Yeah, it had a full stack intercooler and a 2.8 pulley on 1.9 rockers, and the intercooler pump went out. And I don't know, dude. It was a long time.
Were you
There
doing
could
a
have been
top speed run or something?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely.
I was gonna say, because even having the intercooler heat exchanger there, like
Yeah.
it would usually still not chip a piston.
This was when I was just full, like, don't know how to build or mod or drive or you drive a car. I would just floor it.
Every chance you get.
Yeah, and then I'm driving home from school one day, and I'm like, man, what's that noise? And it ended up just being a chip piston, and I'm like, well, I gotta fix it, and I can't afford to pay somebody to fix it, so ended up pulling the engine out, did a XP cam, ported heads, and I don't know, a slew of other things while it was out.
You tell me this story all the time. That's when you got your first Harbor Freight toolkit.
Yes, yes.
that you still have to this.
So I had to. That was the thing actually that was super big about building the car or replacing the engine was I had no tools. So like I remember I saved $700 and I went to Harbor Freight and I bought a toolkit. I bought jack stands. I bought a jack. I bought just like miscellaneous.
Harbor Freight jack stands?
Absolutely, still have them. If you bought the old ones, they're all right.
Okay.
Pre-recall.
An engine stand and like all the stuff, and then me and a buddy went and picked up a short block and top swapped it with my parts and new parts and got it back together. It ran for like a year, and then I spun a rod bearing, and it happens. Also, just beating the
I was gonna say
snot
top
out of
speed
it
run.
like 6 in a row. Like it was like we did 2, and I was
So
like,
the standard customer.
yeah, I was like, we did 2. Oil temp was probably through the roof, and except a lot of other things played into the spun rod bearing, but we did like 2, and I'm like, dude, we should get a video. So then I did like 2 more, and then like pick up my buddy. I'm like, all right, 1 more on the way home, and we do another one, and then we get home, and it's going. Here we go again. So then, like at that point, I had already done it once, and I put together the final engine for that car. And
Yeah, that's called
at
no
that point.
mechanical
At that
centipede.
point, I did have the cruise. I had a cruise because I was like, this car is not reliable enough for me to drive to work at this point.
The car is not reliable?
Yeah, well, I know, but it's self-inflicted. So I had the cruise, and I was kind of modding that on the side too. But like ZZP wasn't super big into the 1.4 yet. But I had the downpipe and the catback, and like an engine intake and some other stuff. But I had the cruise, so at
You
this
had a
point,
chip tune, didn't you?
yeah,
Oh.
a Bully Dog GT. It's actually a really good tune. It's still on the car.
I don't believe you.
Prove it.
Let's dyno it. Your sister still has it.
Yep,
Yeah.
prove it.
Anyway, at that point I had the cruise, and I'm like, all right, I got time to do the Grand Prix right. So, put the car together, and I mean that was the one that I brought to Dyno Days at that point. Made like 365 wheel.
That was my first dyno day. I worked here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You had both 2 cars here, right?
Yep, I had that car here and my old Regal here. But yeah, that toolkit, it's funny. The toolkit I bought to build that car in an old friend's barn. I brought it here to ZZP, and I still work out of that same 200-piece toolkit.
Is it in your trunk of the Regal right now?
It's always with me. It's always with me.
Is that the same one that saved me before?
It's saved you before. It's the same one I built Zoom's engine with. Like, if you need a good toolkit, $200 or $199, you can get a 301-piece mechanics toolkit at Harbor Freight. Buy the upgraded ratchets, and you're good. But
There you go.
yeah, I guess. How did I learn
Michael
about
Bailey?
ZZP?
Cheers.
Is that Michael Bailey, the
Sure
one that I'm
is.
going to blow up his engine?
Tomorrow.
Tim.
We'll see.
Oh, hi, Michael. Welcome to the podcast.
Yeah. I guess I just, like anything, go full in if you're going to do something. And I'm like, you know, ZZP's cool. You guys are close. Like, I love the cars. By the time I started working here, I'd been modding 3800 for like 5 years.
So how'd you get the Regal? Because you had a Regal, not the same one.
Okay,
you had a
so
Grand Prix.
Because he's a 3800 customer.
the
Yep.
Regals came into play, and my love for the Regals came into play
The Regals.
when I realized the cruise was way too slow for anything I ever wanted to do, and I could have a Regal for half the cost and twice the horsepower. So I did that. Got rid of the cruise, bought a Regal, and I'm
That
like,
was going to be the daily?
well, the old one was a daily. The new one's not a daily, but yeah.
Is anything really a daily anymore?
No.
No.
I mean, they all should be dailies, I
There's
guess.
weekday cars and weekend cars.
Yeah,
No daily.
I guess we got to change the term daily to not modify.
Oh yeah.
No, you can't do that.
No, you can't have bone
'Cause
stock.
Bows and Tims modify all things.
That's why I said, like, he
Oh
said,
wait, all
daily.
of us do.
Yeah,
Your
I
daily's
bought a
modified.
daily and I modified it already.
Before you drove it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Literally
it
drove it here.
Drove it here, dropped it off, went out of the country, came back, and it was done.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks, Bo.
No problem. Well, the biggest thing
You
that
know,
really
I'm gonna answer Ethan for Bo. Bonneville, SSEI. There we go.
I can't argue, but the Regal is the best 3800 because it's the W body platform and the build quality is far superior than a Grand Prix.
Bo's Regal is insane.
I'm going to go Fiero swapped.
Yeah,
3800.
not
Oh,
wrong,
oh,
not wrong.
Oh,
But I guess what made me think I could work at ZZP is when I brought my Grand Prix to ZZP, and everybody's like, "Man, this is so cool," and like it was the nicest one here, and I thought it was not that nice. Like I didn't think it was that nice until I brought it to Dyno Days. It made good power. I got a trophy. Everybody's like, "Oh my gosh, this is the coolest thing ever." I'm like, "Really?" I'm like, I literally just built this in a 2-stall garage with no heat.
Yeah, working with no heat. That's a level of commitment that I do not have anymore.
You know what? I had heat when
Same.
I worked on my vehicles, but it was like a salamander, so it's like, you know, get a little bit of cancer to be a little warm.
Yeah.
Or yeah. Kerosene heat, yeah, good times.
Oh, yeah.
I have a
Headache
lot of
the whole
hours.
next day.
I have a lot of hours in garages with kerosene heaters.
It's worth it when you live in Michigan, though.
Yeah, you kind of have to.
All right, what's up, Timbo?
Yeah.
Street
what-
racing.
We know the car.
Street racing.
The car you had when you learned what ZZP was.
Well, I worked at ZZP when ZZP became a thing, so
Yeah, that
This-
doesn't
I
really
guess
apply to
I guess
you.
I would say my '92 Eclipse was the car I had.
Ooh.
That's how I met Zoom. You know, he had his lease car, so his '99 GTP that him and Matt Meekoff were like throwing mods at. You know, making mods, I should say, like just putting things and drilling things and all that. I believe he had like nitrous on it at the time. I raced him with and without the nitrous. That was the first ZZP throttle body. It was just something that like, you know, Zoom and Matt just milled out and put a big flapper in, and then everybody on the forums were like, I want one too, and then
Show me
that's
how
kind
old
of what
you are
started
without showing me
ZZP.
how old you are.
But yeah, I've beat Zoom. I beat Zoom twice in that car in my Eclipse, and then got hired like very shortly later. So yeah, that was a great time. The '92 Eclipse, it ran 1244 at the time, but back in like
That was
99.
the car then.
Yeah, it
I
was,
know so many people.
yeah, it ran 1244 in like 99, and it made a lot more power later, but I never made it to the track because it was always broke.
That's
Yeah.
Always
that's
broke.
also every one of those owners.
Exactly.
But like when it ran mid 12s, that thing I could street race the crap out of it. As soon as I turned it up to like 11.9 type power,
Gone.
that's when it just started breaking. And most of it's driver error, you know, like I just slam the gas to the floor and dump the clutch, you know. and that it's not really built for that.
Is that when you
Some-
started tuning too? Which, if you don't know, that's Tim's primary job here.
Yeah, I mean, I had all the 3-letter things, HKS everything, so the VPC and the GCC. So it's like turn dials that interrupt signals to the ECM. It was pretty archaic now, but
Pretty
But yeah.
trick, I think, is what they called that.
I do have actually something pretty funny. And this is a big insult to myself.
Oh.
I tuned the car using an air fuel gauge. I mean air fuel gauge, not a wideband air fuel gauge. Literally the air fuel gauge that interrupts the O2 sensor and just lights up like this all the time. And then when you floor it, it settles in a spot. Yeah, I tuned the car with that. If a customer told me they had that in their car right now, I would tell them to remove it immediately. Because what happens is that gauge can fail and it'll backfeed voltage to the ECU and it'll freak the ECU out. We dealt with it with the Grand Prix back in the day. It happened quite a bit. The car would just start running like crap, and we're talking to them, and they're and I'm eventually we figured out, hey, do you have an air fuel gauge? And they're yeah, and I'm unplug it, and then problem solved. But yeah, that was the late '90s, so I mean that's my excuse, I guess. But that car beat everybody in street racing. Everybody. I raced 10-second V8 guys and murdered them. Because I'd be 4 or 5 cars ahead by the 8th mile and then just let off the gas.
I mean, what was the V8 then?
Corvette LS1s.
was probably?
LS1s.
Really?
I raced so many LS1s back in the day. WS6s, 1LE Camaro was
Which
that
were
was
all
the car.
pretty slow in today's standards.
I mean,
they're
Matt
not-
Spidell was my big victory. He was a 10.7 Camaro 1LE car, 170 shot of nitrous. And I slayed him on Market Avenue, bad. I did end up losing to Matt Meekoff's Camaro. I think he was maybe a mid-10 second car at the time, centrifugal, V8, the Batman body style, like in late 80s, early 80s Corvette. Fiberglass leaf spring for weight, that thing would pull the front end on the at the track. I lost to him once, but that was about it. I beat everybody. It was pretty cool.
Did that car give you a lot of trouble, or was that pretty?
Yeah. That's
yeah?
what we were joking at lunch today because I am the flat toe king. I think I've towed cars from Grand Rapids to Lansing, from Grand Rapids to Kalamazoo, and from Silver Lake, which is up north to Grand Rapids, all multiple times with just a tow strap.
That's nuts.
From Silver Lake?
Yeah.
On the highway, or did you take back roads the whole way?
On the highway. Just straight on the highway.
You don't got to stop
big
that
deal.
way.
I didn't have money to pay a towing company $250 to
But
move my vehicle.
That's a
But I got a tow strap.
For anybody wondering, from Grand Rapids, it's about an hour and a half.
Two.
Doing
probably,
75.
Yeah, and then that's me doing.
Yeah. I'd say the main thing that made me come to ZZP was I just grew up going fast, not broke. Still doing it.
There it is.
Man, I went fast and broke. Let's be real here.
So did Bo.
Oh man.
We've all
But-
gone too far.
Yeah, but I had to. I mean, that's what got me into ZZP. I mean, we all lay the path. We make all the decisions to put us where we're at. And Zoom recognized the passion I had. I mean, I was making 4-cylinders do some cool stuff back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
I really wish I could go back in time and do it again, but
So
don't we all?
you would take the red pill.
Yeah, I would. At first, I misread that meme about the red pill, about going back in time to when you were 6, but knowing all the things you know
Yeah.
now, or taking $10 million right now.
But I guess it was kind of
but,
vague because if you think about it, going back to when you're 6, knowing everything you know now. So is that reliving the entire same life,
Yes.
or is that a different life?
I misread it at first. Yes, I think reliving your life from when you were 6.
Yeah, definitely
So
take the
then
blue
that's
pill.
cool, buy Bitcoin.
No, no. Why? You have 10 million now. You can buy Bitcoin right now.
But I'm 42 years old right now.
and you're in your prime.
I want more life.
Well,
You know,
we know someone who's working on it, so we're fine.
Like, yeah, our boss is definitely into life extension. I would say I've probably freezed my life for at least a year or so. Taking all my vitamins and whatnot. Our boss definitely pushes us all. Like, we have free vitamins
Tim, you're
in our
going
break
back
room.
in time.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're fine. Take the 10 million.
Yeah. Hopefully.
10 million's a lot. That could last you a while.
Yeah, 10 million, you're totally good. I mean,
You would get your favorite car ever. You would own it. No problem.
Yeah.
At
Yeah,
6,
and-
you can't drive it.
No. But knowing.
And then you would have to wait how many? 10 years.
Yeah, a long time. 10
Exactly.
years to drive a
Exactly.
vehicle.
Man,
Yeah,
you remember those days? Now
Tim
we
would
don't
have
drive.
365 cars and drive a different one every day of the year.
So would you.
And
Wouldn't
then,
you?
and
Wouldn't
then
you?
he would sell it.
That's
a
why I
year
know.
later.
And Bo.
Just like Paul
My
Walker.
bad.
What's Paul Walker say? Need one for every day of the week.
Yes. Yes. That's why I love
just
that
like
guy.
just like a pair of shoes, man. Different car for every mood.
I
Yeah.
think that's why we mod our cars, because we get bored of cars so fast. It's not about them
Yeah.
being a certain level. It's just they need to be different every day.
Yeah.
I agree 100%.
Same.
Something. It's got to feel different, look different. I mean,
Uh-huh.
that's my problem. As soon as I get a vehicle done,
You're like,
it's like, well, what do I do now?
Yep.
My Sonic, what do I do now?
Sell it.
It's got all the mods. Like, what do I do to it now? Like, enjoy
Selling
it,
it.
and
Anybody want to buy a Sonic?
it's what do you do? And the thing is it's such a smarter idea to keep a vehicle and keep going with it. Such a smarter idea.
Financially, yes, but
Well, no, like just to have the coolest one ever.
oh yeah,
Let's give Ryan Derrick a shout out here. Like, he's had the car, bought it brand new, still has it to this day, and who's got a cooler Cobalt?
yeah.
Like, that's kind of cool. Like, having the sweetest, like having the most known vehicle like that. I've never had that.
And he has
I built
one
him-
car.
I built a
puts
whole
all
bunch
this
of
fun
cars.
money into it, so it's like more built than any of us will ever have. Like,
I built too many cars to 90% and then sold.
Yeah.
Ryan has I'll just drop it down a little bit and say he's built it to 99%. Because he's always trying to make it better, right?
Yeah.
Like, he's
I can
always
agree with
trying
that.
trying to figure out the next thing to do. So it's not quite 100%. But I mean, it's darn close.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. I give him a ton of credit for keeping a car that long. I could not do it at all.
No.
I
mean,
get
he's
bored
original
very
owner
easily.
of that car.
Yeah.
Bought
That's-
brand new.
That's why I send you stuff every day. I'm like, hey, how about this?
Yep.
Hey, how about this? Let's do this. Hey, what are you doing? Let's go do this.
Yep.
That is always a fun question, though. Like, Tim, if you added up all your mod cars, the money you sunk into all of them,
Oh my God.
Let's
and
not
pooled
ask
that
on
money
air.
into one build, one car, one build, like,
He'd have a full carbon fiber.
you'd have like an R8 fully built twin turbo.
Is that what you would have?
Probably
An R8?
Like,
That's
no budget.
It's
Yeah.
a good choice. I mean, I love R8s. I don't know. I think I'd hate to go all JDM fanboy, but I think I'd have an R34 that was like
Yeah, you probably could too.
that R34 that goes to Grid Life that wins every award ever. Like, I see that car and I'm like, man, like that's, there are other cars, I don't have to go, cars that aren't purchased here originally. I have a lot of cars I love, but that's a pretty good one.
But even then, I'd get bored of it after a year, so it's irrelevant.
Probably. I think I'd be lying if I said that there's a vehicle that wouldn't bore me.
So Ashley, what car did you have when you learned about ZZP? How'd you get here?
I actually learned about ZZP.
Not even really
about-
cars, right?
Well, no. Well, it was like 10 years before I ever started working here.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So when you
at
lived
that
in
time,
Chicago?
Yeah, at that time, I'd still had the G6. So I had friends that lived here in Grand Rapids, and that's actually how I met Zoom a long time ago. And I had some unfortunate family things happen. When my mom passed, I decided that I wanted to move to Grand Rapids because if anybody knows what Chicago's like, it's not necessarily the best place to live. So I moved here, and I was doing a different job. I was doing like property management, flipping houses, things like that. And I was over it. I was done. I didn't want any part of it anymore. So I was like, oh, ZZP's hiring. And I was like, oh, ZZP's hiring.
Was
but
that-
maybe ZZP's hiring.
Was that right when the housing market was terrible here, or after?
It didn't really matter because the way they were buying and selling and flipping houses was through auction anyway, so
Oh.
it
So
didn't matter.
totally
Yeah, it
different,
was
yeah.
completely different. But they were some really corrupt people, so I decided I was going to apply and see how it went. And so I applied and I got the interview and I came in and I was like, this is really scary because at the time I interviewed with about 7 people at one table. And I'm like, well, I don't know how I'm going to do with this. Yes, I know a lot about cars. Yes, I know enough. And, you know, I've got a motorsports background and, you know, power sports, whatever, all that. So I waited like a week before I heard anything back. And once I got hired, I was like, oh my gosh, here we go. I had no idea what to expect, though, coming in. But when I came in, I was like, oh, this is a dream job for anybody. Anybody who has a passion for cars, motorsports, anything like that, going fast. And then being here, everybody was just so welcoming and so awesome that it just, I can't ever imagine not working here. But yeah, so I had the G6, and then when I started here, I actually had an Explorer at the time because I apparently love Explorers. Tim, I know you can understand that. Yep. I would still own another one to this day. I still look at them just for the hell of it. So yeah, that's what I had. But I also, like Tim, was very big into going to Silver Lake, the sand dunes. For people that don't know, we have a pretty decent sized sand dunes here. So
That's how we met each other. Actually,
yeah,
first time.
we met at the dunes. He was you had your was it a Silverado?
Was that? Yep.
Yeah, and I had my quad, and yeah, we were out there ripping the dunes, and I think I've got a video of him jumping.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. My dune truck Silverado.
Yep. Had a couple quads. You know,
Yeah, if you guys
razors,
don't know
things
what
like that.
Silver Lake is, it's
Silver
not
Lake is
like
amazing.
dunes like you're thinking. It's like, what would you say?
If you know what Glamis
many
is, it's
stories
a miniature
tall
Glamis.
are
Yeah.
some of those dunes? Like,
Yeah.
Straight up, like Test Hill is like that. You know.
it's like a big thing in Michigan. Like everyone knows Silver Lake,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Yeah, we've got. I mean, Al here even tunes a couple sand rails. We get a lot of sand rails in here. We've
Yeah.
got some videos out there of them.
Yep.
So yeah, that's what I was doing once I got the job here. I actually remember Metro Cruise one year. I think you were here, and we decided we were going to take the Razors down Metro Cruise, and we parked here. And then later on that night, we're jumping off of the loading dock out back.
Nice.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Nice.
Yep, never thought I would end up working here, but here I am.
Have we ever used that loading dock for loading or just jumping?
Not that I know of. I just only see Langer's guys
Just
go off
jumping.
of it.
Just
Langer
jumping.
and the Razors, yeah.
If you guys don't know the ZZP shop, we have this weird loading dock that's like not attached to our building. And it's just a slant, a little flat, and then it ends. And
Yeah.
it's pointed away from the building.
Yeah.
So I guess the semi could back up to it or something.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's-
One side's like maybe
4 foot.
4 foot, and then the other side's like 3,
Yeah.
like 3 and 4 feet, I think.
Yeah.
So it's 2 different steps.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's two
Yeah.
levels. There's
I'm
the
too chicken to hit it with my truck.
there's
I'm
the
afraid
bunny
I'm gonna-
hill, and then there's the double diamond, black
Yeah.
diamond.
It's fun though to watch Langer's guys go off of it.
Oh man, at what point do LE5s break the reluctor wheel? I think it's more RPM. It's
Yeah.
not really power; it's RPM. When you spin them over, I don't know, 7,500 to 8,500 is pretty scary. ATI or not, I know we put a tack weld on the bolts to keep them from backing out, but that's not it's not just going to save you.
yeah, guys, good question, Sebastian. But everyone else in here, ask these guys questions. I don't want to be the only one asking. I want to know what you want to know. This is your one chance to ask them. So go ahead.
But man, the street racing scene back in the day was a good time. There were dudes that could hang the tires on the street. These guys would bring like VHT to the street and like spray the road down and do big burnouts. It's like as soon as Fast and Furious came out, like, it like really hurt it because what we would do, we would have the hangout spot to where you'd have like a whole bunch of people. Let's say there's 60 to 100 cars in the Rogers Plaza parking lot hanging out, and then what would happen is you'd challenge somebody to a race, and then you'd be like, all right, we're gonna go to the race spot, which there was like 2 of them primary, and then you'd kind of sneak out like 3 cars at a time, 3 cars at a time, 3 cars at a time, and go there. And then as soon as Fast and Furious came out, like all of a sudden, like people would hear it, and then now the race spot has like 100 people that like span out into the road blocking traffic to watch these races. You know, and then you have like people on crotch rockets doing donuts in the middle of the road, you know, cars doing donuts in the middle of the road, people like overdoing their prep for their launch, you know, and then it kind of ruined it for a while.
I don't know if that necessarily ruined it, because you have to think about it. So that's how it was in Chicago too. So your 28th Street was exactly how our Archer was. And then we'd go to the Stockyards or Doty Road to race. But there wasn't social media back then.
No.
Now everyone modifies their car, and it's almost just like for a look, because
Yep.
nobody does anything with it. They want to talk all the talk on Facebook and Instagram. They want to run their mouth, but then when it comes actually down to doing something, nobody does anything about it. Back then, yeah, you would meet someone in the parking lot, and that's how you would handle it. Now you don't. Everyone just sits behind a screen.
Yeah, it really is it is very different now
Yeah.
with social media, for sure. You know, it's just people want the long mod list now.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
the
They just want to
social
show you
post.
a list of items, as opposed to like, okay, well, where's the actual car?
Yeah, let's
I
run
mean,
this
did you
thing.
guys
Yeah, exactly.
ever have people recording races, or was it all just there?
Not really,
Because
honestly.
you didn't
like
have camera phones or
yeah.
stuff like that.
it was like flip phone era.
Yeah.
There wasn't like a
Exactly.
dude with a VHS camcorder off to the side.
No, like
No.
So when Eric asked for pictures, I was like, do we have access to MySpace? Like, I don't have pictures, because this was like when you didn't have camera phones anymore. It was literally flip phones. So I don't have anything.
Eric asks, good one. A good buddy of ours. He does a lot of great carbon fiber work. What first ZZP part did you install on your, first ZZP car, I guess, to each of you? Tim, it was probably one you helped develop.
Yeah. I got to give Meekoff the credit on that. Zoom was basically like, hey, what do I have to do to get you to own a ZZP car? And I was like, I don't know. You know, I guess I've definitely always loved Grand Prix since the whole wide track Grand Prix came out. So
wide track.
So I basically went and bought a Grand Prix GT, and Matt was like, well, you're Turbo
Majors.
Tim, so let's turbo a Grand Prix. So Matt just made a turbo kit and just threw it on my car, and that was my first mod. The first ZZP turbo car.
Full turbo.
Yeah, like it.
I
we
see
threw it on there.
repetitive behavior here.
Yeah, we threw it on there.
Still.
I went to the dyno and made 417 wheel horsepower. Like, I don't know, like 3 days after the turbo kit was installed, and we're all
Eyes just light up.
we're all like all of us. We're just standing there, and we're just like, holy crap, this is
that
like the
just
most
happen?
horsepower that's ever been done on a Grand Prix, like right here, just
Yeah.
done. Like on a scabbed together, like rigged turbo kit. Like it was crazy. You know, that was the same turbo kit that I think I had a 215/40 Toyo Proxies on the car, all 4 corners, and ran 11.9 with it. Just like that. Just on total
That's a
street
really
trim.
big first mod also.
Yeah.
I was thinking like, maybe like the
I'm pretty typical. Downpipe,
downpipe
3-inch down.
cold air intake.
I want to answer Ethan's question real quick. Get the SSEI, and you can even turbo the SSEI, but get the SSEI for many reasons.
Ooh, wait a second. He mentioned a 2005 SLE. Does the 2000? I think the 2005 SLE has the GXP headlights and taillights. So, whew.
Tim is all
That's the
about
one to
headlights
get.
and taillights, which is probably the reason why I bought my car, because Tim's like, you better make sure you get the good headlights.
Yeah, I was not letting you
Nope.
get that base model.
No, I couldn't get a base model either. Let's be real.
Yeah, Eric. Tim was first turbo guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I would consider the 4G the first legitimate turbo 4-cylinder that made power and was good.
What car?
4G 63.
Oh,
Your-
yep.
all your DSM stuff.
Yep, that
essentially?
was the one that that pretty much started it all. I think. I mean, there might be, you have the Dodge, the Colts, and
yeah.
there was a couple others, maybe an Omni or something.
Wasn't there
the
a turbo
Omni Turbo,
Mustang, like a Fox body or
yup,
something too?
in the
like,
mid '80s, but it never really took off.
Yeah, it was super.
They were all pretty terrible. Like,
Yup, and then the the DSMs, the 4G63, like that was the first car that it was cool to modify.
Yes,
No.
Ken Block got Trevor into drifting. Ken Block stops
Yeah,
here probably
yeah, we're
once a
good
week.
buddies. We hang out once in a while.
Oh,
Wednesday
man.
lunches.
Ken Block owes me a Ranger, by the way.
Host Tim a
Damn.
Ranger. He's actually running a man. I think he's got an Ecotech in his car these days, right?
Like, I was watching, I'm watching the Gymkhana videos, and then all of a sudden I think I can do this with a Ford Ranger, and kind of like did endos down the middle of the road. So
The road?
Ken Block owes me some money.
Yeah. What got me into drifting? I kind of wanted to do it all. I did drag racing. I had muscle car stuff. I had 4-cylinder stuff. I had all-wheel drive stuff, front-wheel drive stuff, rear-wheel drive
Motorcycle
stuff.
stuff?
Did motorcycles, a lot of stuff. And then started working here, did a lot of time attack stuff, or road course, I did.
Yes, and
Yep.
more of it to come,
Yes.
hopefully.
So did the drag racing. I was like, hey, cool, that was fun, bye. Did road course, and I was like, hey, did that, good to go.
I still want to drift too, Trev.
And then I wanted to drift.
I
Once
just
he road
want to ride.
course-
I just want to ride. I don't
It is
want to.
so fun in the sky riding with him.
I don't know if it was the first time I was on road course with you, Tim, and the rally art like kicked the back out, and I like corrected and saved it, and I was like, more of that, please. That was a good time.
More of that, please. Yeah, see, I drift the Jeep a lot on back roads,
What?
but not no
Okay,
no
swerving
pavement
for
drifting.
deer doesn't count.
If you guys don't know, no.
I have literally been sliding sideways through a field so hard that I've knocked the tire off of the rim.
I'm
You've
not
definitely
surprised.
done a faster drift than I have.
I have dents on hoods from corn stalks from me doing drifts sideways through cornfields.
Yeah.
Why? Why in the cornfield?
Because it had like a dirt road that had a twisty turny road, and I was just, pushing it to 101%. And
You know
that's
what
bad
Alex
times.
told me today? Or I'm sorry, not Alex, Joey. There's a road where we went past on our way home from lunch that leads down to the
Yep.
Grand River.
Oh, I've been down there all the time. Like my Explorer's been there so many times.
Yeah.
Why am I
It's,
just finding it?
We went there during our lunch one day.
Yeah, I heard.
It's fun. What's cool about that spot is it's clay, but if you dig deep enough, you get rocks. So if you just sit there and like spin your tires and try to dig
Well,
to China, you hit rocks and then you
Don't
get
be
out.
a rookie and you'll be all right.
But yeah, I've got a lot of time back there.
Okay, well, let's prove it.
Greg Jewell.
I don't have
ATS
anything that can go
products
back
coming up would be some fueling and some exhaust stuff.
Yeah, Mr. Michael Bailey, I think if he's still in here, has some new ZZP ATSV mods that will be on the website soon. Some secondary fuel system.
Yeah. We got a
Not fifth injectors. We're talking like 7 and 8 injectors. Like, here we go.
ka-chow.
Ka-chow?
I mean, honestly, we're working on a lot of fueling this year.
Yeah.
For all of our DI applications.
But yeah, I need a ride. I need a ride in a drift car.
Yep.
That needs to happen.
We went
I
to
don't know
Taco
why
Bell.
you chose a Sky. It seems like
I
a
think
sketch
that's
chassis.
why I
for
got
it.
into it, because
Holy
got
crap!
the Sky, I was playing with it, and if you guys don't know or haven't been in one, they want to drift. That's all they want to do. But they don't even want to drift. They want a 180
Yes.
and point you where you
there
were
you
going.
go. There
All
you
the
go.
like stock ones, modified ones, it doesn't matter.
We went to Taco Bell and we were doing a Michigan turn, and all of a sudden I was like, "Whoop."
Did we do that
Trev,
once?
yeah, we were just going to Taco Bell.
The Chicago Drive U-turns are.
Yes, it's exactly
They're
what it was.
nuts.
I do. I love the what do you call the little 360 turns? Oh man, those are good times. What do you call those? Darn it, I'm
I don't know.
drawing a blank. The ones where you don't have to stop and you do the turn and then you
I
get
don't know.
off at
I
whatever.
still don't.
A
Oh,
roundabout.
a
Yeah,
roundabout.
thank you, man. My brain. There's a roundabout on the way to Silver Lake, and I would take it in my
No, you-
Silverado, and I would
That's
do
not
like
on
two.
the way to Silver Lake. That is in town Silver Lake.
No, not that one.
Oh,
The one on the way to. On the way to, not in.
drift.
okay.
But yeah, I would go around it one extra time because that truck loved doing it, and it would just about pick the front tire off the ground, almost. Like you gain some speed around the 360, and then you exit your spot. Good times.
But yeah, so I realized that, and I was like, this is perfect. This thing wants to slide. We just got to make it not do 360s. I think I want to try this. L built the whole setup on that thing.
Screw top.
For the turbo, 6758, makes about 400. And then I went to a drift event, and I was like, this is insane. This is actually crazy. Way too much power. I don't know what I'm doing. And I bought 2 or 3 E36s, drifted those for a while, and that was awesome. Dialed them in,
2 or 3.
It's
set
the
up.
only way to buy an E36 or a Miata.
Yeah. The
2 or
slow
3.
car, learning how to
2 or
do
3.
it was great. And now that I know what you need and what you want, I can dial in the sky, get it running good.
Yeah, we're pulling the
That's-
sky
that's
in on
about it.
Monday.
Yep.
Yes.
For some cool
Because
stuff.
Tim and I have blown up too many diffs in those
Yeah,
things.
man. How many are you on? I'm on the third one.
I'm on my second.
Yeah. So.
Well, Tim, yours makes about 800 wheels, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was funny.
yeah.
We had this autocross at Berlin Raceway, like not too far from our shop. And one of the funnest autocrosses.
I can't
really.
wait for it this summer, honestly.
Yeah,
literally
I
the
hope
only-
they're gonna redo it.
Yeah. Oh, they will. I think they're changing it too. So
And every time I would go, like the horsepower on my Sky went up like 100.
no, it not on its own because of the announcer.
Yeah, the announcer said it. And I think by the end of it, it was like 8 or 9, maybe 1,100. I don't know what the end horsepower was, but straight axle, no power glide either. I know you're already
yeah, that
typing
was
it.
coming.
I know you're already typing it.
Yeah, Tyler answering Sebastian there, talking about wanting to get in a road course. Listen to Tyler. Dot 4 fluid and just go.
Was
Yes.
it road course or was it? I think he asked both, drag racing and road course. Which either way, take it from somebody who was a rookie not that long ago. Seat time. Everybody says it. Just go. Even if you're not going for times, just
that was what I would say.
go.
It doesn't matter what kind of racing you're gonna
Yeah.
do. Just get out there, and you'll know what you need to do next as soon as you go out.
When you're
Yeah.
Like-
driving down the track, that's not what you need to know about. It's when you're sitting at the light.
Don't listen to the people on the internet that tell you how to build your car. Just
Oh my
go.
gosh.
See what you need.
No. Like I have like when it comes to road course, since a guy mentioned road course racing, like I could go at a speed and do a 360 in the middle of the road. I've done this at speed, 360 in the
360 's
road
good.
and keep going. And I was really cocky about going to the road course. Ryan Derrick's like, Tim, you need to try road course. You need to try road course. And I'm like, it sounds like it'll be fun. He's like, you need to do it with an instructor. And I'm like, instructor? Like I can do 360s at 60 miles an hour. I don't need an instructor, right? And it I go to sign up and it pretty much won't let me sign up without having like a whole bunch of track experience. So I'm like, all right, whatever. You know, I don't need an instructor. And I went. I needed that freaking instructor. Like, so people, if you're going to experiment with road course racing, go to an event with an instructor. And I'd say your first few times, like your first time at a new track, even maybe do the instructor because they don't cut your track time down at all. And like usually the instructor knows that track and will give you really neat pointers and just remind you of some of the basics. Because every once in a while you just kind of forget some of the basics. Like one of the hardest things for me was like, this ain't a 2-lane road. This is a 1-lane road. Use the whole track. Like grass to grass. Use the whole thing. That's a lot.
That's a great point.
Yeah. The
You know?
track-to-track difference is crazy to me. Like hearing
Yeah.
you and Tyler bounce off, like you'll just pop out of your office and be like, "Yeah, Tyler, 789. You remember when you did this and this?" And I'm like,
Yeah.
2. I'm like going around the track, and it's
So true.
and there's
Oh,
so
there
many
he
like
is.
broken rules you do on road
Yes.
course. Like there's the rules, and then you break all those rules,
Yep.
and
What's up, JPL? Thanks for the hat review today. We had a
Yeah.
good laugh out of that. Love it, brother.
uh,
Yeah, I used to be super intimidated by drag racing for no reason, just other than just being embarrassed. You know.
I mean, yeah, it is because you got
just-
a stands full of people, and then you have the people that are working there who obviously see people who come there with monster cars every day, and you're like,
Ween ween.
Are you said you used to. Are you telling me that you're not still scared to death as you pull up to the Christmas tree and you're like staging?
No.
Because I still am scared to death every
a-
time I.
it took me a long time to stop shaking. I don't shake anymore. Took me
well,
a while.
that's
don't?
Tim,
Nope.
your car's
still
got
do.
faster
No.
every time.
Well, yeah. Your
There's
car
that
went
too,
faster.
but like it's like all eyes on you, and like sometimes you're at events and you're like, oh my god, there's like hundreds of people. Like I hope I
Yeah.
don't like, so many different mistakes to make, and it's like
I think
scary.
The last car I took down the track was the Tesla, and that I actually laughed down the track because I didn't expect it.
Oh yeah.
Because I'm so used to like I have to launch my car, and that car you just literally hit the gas, and then I was like my head flew back and I just laughed. I was like, oh.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting that one.
I'm always laughing and screaming.
Oh, I know.
Banging the dashboard like,
we
yeah,
saw
coming
videos.
on the return road.
Still one of my
You've seen the
favorite
GoPro
videos.
footage.
Like
Yeah.
you just know it. You know it. You know, you get that pass and you just let off and you're just like,
If I'm in a no burnout car, I'm fine. If I have to do a burnout, I always get like the shakes
Oh, yeah.
afterwards.
Really?
Especially a
and-
front
yeah.
wheel drive burnout. It's terrible. And everyone's looking at you and they're like, what are they doing?
Yeah.
It's a front wheel drive car. And I'm like, shut up.
oh,
Like I don't every time.
Yeah.
Every time
Leave
when
him
I'm
alone,
staging,
Al.
like I'm nervous. Like I'm scared to death every time, because it's like you just waited like 15 hours to make a pass, and you get like one chance.
It's
you get
so
one
true.
chance to
It's
make a quarter
so
mile
true.
pass.
So you're like, oh God, where am I going?
You're like, I
Shots
can't make
fired
any
at our local
mistakes.
track.
Shots fired.
Shout
at
out
Martin
131.
131.
yeah.
I'm guys that take 2 hours to clean up like a drip of antifreeze.
It was work to get Sarah to make a pass this year. It was work. Like
And she did.
she'd made 2 passes.
I loved Eric's video of her still going. Still going.
Yeah. The slowest one.
Noah, that's our plan this year. We plan to get it out. He got it after the track season was over.
Noah, it's going to be the most boring pass you've ever seen. Yes, that car is fast, but it is boring. Like, it is a car that you could just, like, use one finger, and there's no, like, it requires no talent. You know,
Hey.
like,
Well, that
to race
video,
a plaid, no talent. You put it in launch mode, you go beep boop, beep boop, beep boop, and then it's like flashing lights at you and stuff. Like it takes no talent
did
to
we
race that plaid.
confirm that video was real of the no driver pass?
I don't know if that was real.
I don't
That
know if it
can't
was
be
real.
What
I don't
happened
think
to that video?
any track would let that happen.
I don't know why
I don't know.
Elon wouldn't make that happen himself. You know, like why
Yeah.
wouldn't he? So I don't see why not. Why wouldn't it? It could probably auto drive itself the whole way. It's got a clear line in the middle and a clear wall on the left side. That car will be totally fine. But yeah, I don't know. Teslas are boring to drag race. Your Sonic is probably the hardest car to launch and race at the drag strip.
Yeah, 100%.
A like super lightweight like economy car that's fast.
You're laughing at JPL.
Everybody's killing Tyler.
Aw,
This is Al's fault.
damn.
Oh my goodness. Can you do a burnout in a Tesla? We have not, but I have seen videos of them, so there's got to be a way to manipulate it.
They have a drift mode, which puts like 95 power to the rear and turns off a bunch of stuff.
Have you actually tried it?
I've never turned it on. Ours
we
has
never-
it, but
When?
Well, I mean, it's out in the parking lot.
True.
You know,
But
I'm
it's
talking about
winter.
the Model 3 right now, but like,
Yeah.
it's out in the parking lot. I mean, you know, if you want to take it home, whatever. I mean, as
It's
long as
winter.
it's not going to snow, it's sitting
I
there
think
waiting
It would
for
probably
us.
be way more fun in the snow.
it could easily. I just don't. Again, it's the Tesla thing. Like, why would you? It has a
Yeah.
button for it. Like, it's
Yeah.
not fun. Like,
Yeah, I don't know. I love electric cars.
Such a weird
but-
feeling. It's so hard to describe though. That feeling.
Yeah,
yeah,
It's so futuristic.
it's
Yeah.
different.
And
You
the
can't
noise it
compare
makes. Boo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo.
yeah.
Crazy.
It's cool. I mean, I love electric cars. I love the no shifting. Like if you want to pull out into traffic and all of a sudden you're like, oh crap, I need to get going. Like an electric car is ready to go
hammered.
at every second.
Yep.
There's no throttle delay. There's no waiting for a shift. Like
That's
it just
crazy.
goes. That's cool. But you know,
think
I
you can
like
get
to
a C-
modify my vehicles.
You think you could get a good CVT trans to act like that?
I don't know if you can get a CVT trans to like support a high horsepower.
Yeah. Has there ever been a CVT with more than like 200 horsepower?
No, I don't know.
Not that I know of. I mean, I like the idea of them.
I mean, I guess technically you could. That's like kind of what the slingshot is with the belt.
But I mean,
No,
I don't
it's-
know about you guys, but like, I love a really cool sequential tranny. Like, that's cool.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a manual tranny fanboy, but I do like the sequential trannies, and I'm frustrated that GM doesn't use them. That's a neat transmission. And then they put the A8, that stupid 8-speed in the 2-liter 16-plus ATS and the ATS-V. That's a garbage tranny. Like, why are we not, like, sequential by now?
Yeah, Jeff. I'm not a great shifter either. I'm good at the pedals. Like, put that thing in second or third, and I can do clutch kicks and left foot brake and all the pedal things. But shifting, that's Ryan. I'll leave that for Ryan.
What situation do you use a left foot brake?
Left foot brake? Not much in drifting. I mean, in drifting, technically, if you were like a pro, which I'm not, if you want to bleed off speed and add angle, you'd left foot brake.
Okay.
So.
Makes total sense.
Mm-hmm.
Weird.
Some road course guys do it, don't they, Tim? But it's kind of personal preference, I think. I don't on road course.
Maybe just a quicker transition from brake to gas.
I don't think so.
Uh,
I don't think so. It's with road course. It's all just getting the RPMs up, so you're not dumping the clutch in the higher gear and chirping tires when you're turning a corner at.
And like a drift
100%.
course, a typical drift course, like grassroots, like I do, you're usually in one gear, maybe two, but you're in third the whole time. Let's say. So if you're in a corner
You need
and
a little more angle.
you don't have a great hydro setup or whatever, and you need more angle, you can just punch the brake.
Mhm.
But you want to be able to clutch kick, come back out of it, so you'll slide your foot over, clutch kick, back to gas.
Makes sense.
I've definitely grenaded my S2000 rear end due to not rev matching. Noah always is yelling at me. He's like, "You need to learn how to rev match downshift," and I'm like, "I don't need to."
The heel
And then
toe
I'm-
is fun.
And then I'm at Road America.
You
and I'm
don't
like-
heel toe, do you?
No. And then I'm at Road America, and I just, grab the gear and just kaboom. And it's like, well, Noah, you were right.
The heel
Darn
toe
it.
is very pedal dependent. I can do it in BMWs, great.
It's very shoe dependent.
All the Ecotec cars are very hard because they have a brake pedal here and
Yeah.
the gas pedal's up here. So you can't, like,
Yeah.
kick your
Yeah.
heel down that far.
That blows my mind.
I can do it, but not in a racing scenario. Like
Yeah.
when like timing is so key. Like I haven't been able to do it yet.
Right.
I've never
But
tried
then-
on a track. It's
But Al McClure sent me a link to a little controller box that can bump throttle for you. So I'm pretty interested.
just
in
like an
the-
auto blip.
Yeah, an auto blip. I think that might be what the thing is called. It was something like that.
I didn't know
was
you
like,
could add that to any car. I know some cars come with it, but
Yeah, seems like it. It's definitely something I want to look into.
I always love a good video, and they might have like the pedals in the corner of the video. It's always so fascinating to like somebody with good footwork, like watching. Actually,
I like
just
how
watching
everyone's
that.
got their thing. Like,
Yeah.
you kind of just do whatever your brain does, and everyone's got their own weird way
Yeah.
of doing
Yeah.
pedals. Like,
It's very I play the drums a little bit. It's very similar.
Mhm.
Like there's
That's
so many.
funny that you just mentioned that because I almost asked you like if it's very similar
Yeah, it is.
because I know you play the drums.
And there's no right way to do it really. I mean, there is a right and wrong way, but like everybody's different.
Mhm.
It's the same, hand-eye coordination, using your feet and your hands differently at the same time.
Yeah, I can't imagine. Like drumming has to be extremely difficult to do.
The multitasking, like my brain, I feel like would just get so messed up, and I'd be like, "Oh, which one? Which one?"
Yeah.
What's crazy? Not to derail this, but what's crazy is you can, if you're decently good at drumming, you can normally do it with your eyes closed, because
Oh,
there's
yeah.
nothing to do with your eyes. It's just feeling it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like driving my car too. It's just so natural. It's such a muscle reaction that just
Yeah.
muscle memory.
You're not watching the
happens.
tack. You're
Yeah,
not
at
watching
all,
the speed.
Not at
you're
all. And then I'll get into an auto car, and I'm like,
Oh, when you stomp on the brake pedal.
all the time, all the time.
I saw Codith made a comment about snap oversteer. I'll be doing a lot of road course in my car this year, so I'm gonna work on that. My S2000 had terrible snap oversteer, and it took me like an entire year and like 5 different sway bars and 2 different sets of coilovers. But I did end up getting it figured out, so I'll get it figured out in the sky, and I'll have something.
Snap oversteer.
Yeah, that's basically where the back end like becomes the front end like faster than you can imagine.
Oh,
Is that a good way to sum that up?
That's why you gotta trust us when we spec our coilovers out.
Yes.
Don't fight us. We have people like Tim and Tyler that take it out and full
Yes.
send into a corner.
It
They're
is-
like,
it
it
is
needs this.
It is a combination of suspension, movement, tightening, like nice tight bushings, sway bars, and coilovers. Like it is a big combo of it, and it took me a whole bunch of time in my S2000 to get rid of it. But the S2000, when I sold it because I wanted to race a ZZP vehicle, I used the S2000 to learn how to race a car, and then was like, all right, it sucks when I'm going with all the ZZP guys to the road course, and I've got my darn Tim and Tim's S2000, and then all the ZZP guys in their cars, and it's like So I bought a Kappa, which is like the best platform. John Powell sent me some stuff for it, which makes it amazing. And this year will be the year. So
I'm excited.
it's gonna be good times.
It's going to be a good year. They finally have everything at the dates that need to be in the correct dates, so nothing overlaps each other like they did last year.
Yeah.
I can't wait. I'm super excited for Grid Life this year.
Yep.
I'm super excited for Streetcar Takeover. I hope Cletus does another Cletus and Cars in Indy.
Yep.
Hopefully we get out of the Decepticon virus and
I don't know what you're talking about.
Decepticon.
Yeah. Life is back to the way it is. Just live it.
But yeah, thanks for hanging out, guys. If you guys have anything to add last minute, else I think we'll wrap it up here. We're 10 over, so you guys got a little overtime today.
Hey.
Nothing?
I'm good.
Have a
man.
good weekend,
Cool.
you guys.
Have a good weekend, guys.
Have a
Take
good
care.
weekend.